Let's do a little bit of review with your special right triangles. This is going to help us out a great deal with some of the upcoming trig. Most of you probably learned the 45-45 as something like this, 1, 1, radical 2. Now, that's fine to learn the special ratios, but I would like it if we could get ourselves into the unit circle, if possible. So what we need to do is get this to have a hypotenuse equal to 1. So if we're going to divide this by radical 2, we will divide both of these by radical 2. And of course, that's when the math police kick in and force us to rationalize denominators. So the preferred form, bad planning there too. Preferred form would be radical 2 over 2. Now, part of what that means about this triangle is if you want to do the sine of 45 degrees, it should just be radical 2 over 2. That will also be true for the cosine. Another nice sort of favorite fact about the 45-45 is that if you're doing the tangent, both of the legs have the same length, opposite and adjacent, so that ratio is equal to 1. Another quick fact that you can get from that as well is that the cotangent would also be 1 because they are reciprocals. Okay, let's move to the 30, 60, 90. Again, probably most of you learned something like this, 1, 2, radical 3. That's fine. It's the same ratio that we're going to use, but let's say we would like to cut the length of this hypotenuse in half. So I'll sort of guesstimate and I'll drop a perpendicular here. So now, if you can think of this hypotenuse as being of length 1, so we divided by 2, that's an ugly one. If we divided everything by 2, we get some new lengths, but they are still in that same ratio. So when we go to do sine, cosine, and tangent, we will end up getting the same ratios that you got when you were learning it. So sine of 30, you're going to do opposite over hypotenuse. So whether you do 1/2 over 1 or 1 over 2, you get the same thing. Let's do cosine. So this time you'd have adjacent over hypotenuse. Radical 3 over 2. Now, one of the things we've been talking about is the cofunctions. So if we also look at cosine of 60, so cosine for 60, either here or here, you're going to do adjacent over hypotenuse. It's still 1/2. And that means we should also be able to write sine of 60 here. Easy for me to say. So you'd still get radical 3 over 2. Tangent, opposite over adjacent, or sine over cosine. So you could have 1/2 over radical 3 over 2, or 1 over radical 3. It's the same difference. And all you'll have to do is rationalize that denominator, and you get your tangent. Ta-da! Nice review.